It's a pleasure to welcome Karl Inderfurth. He is the former Assistant Secretary of State, South Asia Affairs. He's been a UN diplomat on behalf of the US, and he currently is the Wadhwani Chair for US-India relations at CSIS, a Washington-based think tank. Ambassador Inderfurth, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you very much.
You have a wide range of experience in South Asia, especially when it comes to US-India relations, and goes back to the 70s. You travel extensively in India. How do you rate the relationship between India and US now compared to what it was when you were a lot younger?
Oh, that's interesting. The short answer is that there is no comparison. I traveled as a very young staff assistant to Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski, the National Security Advisor. I traveled with him to India with President Carter in 1978. And then I traveled 22 years later with President Clinton as the Assistant Secretary of State. And there has been a night and day change in our relations. I think the best way to express it is there's an excellent book on the US-India relationship from independence through 1990. It was entitled Estranged Democracies. We were estranged. We were democracies, but we were estranged. Today, that's changed. Today, we are engaged democracies. And starting with, I think the breakthrough here occurred with President Clinton's trip to India in March of 2000. And the good news is that that continued and was accelerated under President Bush, a Republican, President Clinton clearly a Democrat, and continues to this day under President Obama. So this is a 10-year building of a new relationship. It's bipartisan. It's one that is long overdue, but as I think President Clinton used to say, it's never too late to do the right thing. Well, finally, we're doing the right thing by each other. And obviously in India, strong support across parties for this. President Clinton dealt with Prime Minister Vajpayee, and then we've seen Prime Minister Singh, and I have every reason to believe that on both sides, this relationship is going to continue growing in the future.
Before I come to the questions of fundamentals of the economies, I just want to get a statement from you that regardless of which side of the aisle you represent, I think it's pretty much a fact that you cannot ignore the emergence or re-emergence of 21st century India.
Oh, absolutely. President Obama said India is not only emerging, it has emerged. And India has emerged as a global player on the world scene. And it is not only because of its remarkable economic performance in recent years, it's also because of the weight that India brings to issues that go from climate change to nuclear security, to international peace and security. India is currently on the UN Security Council, and most importantly, President Obama has endorsed India for a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. So India is a country that, through a combination of economic, political, military, all kinds of reasons, population, soon to be the world's most populous nation, is going to help transform, if you will, the geopolitical landscape of the 21st century. And fortunately, U.S. officials and policymakers and think tankers now fully recognize that and are pursuing our relations with India accordingly.
You know, with economic success comes a greater responsibility,
yes,
social responsibility to your own nation and to the nations of the world. Keeping that in perspective, India is a natural ally in many terms with the US. But when you look at the democracies and the openness of cultures, India is in many ways, shadows the many principles that America follows and vice versa. In your observation, what are some of the fundamental things that really helped India re-emerge as a leading nation in the world?
I think that we've always, in fact, that there was a long expression of India and the United States being the world's oldest and the world's largest democracies. But even that fundamental area of agreement did not allow the two countries to move closer together. I think that historically the end of the Cold War, and even more fundamentally in many respects, the economic reforms initiated in the early 1990s in India by Prime Minister Rao and then Finance Minister Manmohan Singh opened up the potential for India to engage the world economically and to transform that whole relationship. And India's economic performance has captured the world's imagination. Even during the difficult times of the financial crisis in 2008, India continued to move forward. The fact that India is a vibrant democracy, the fact that India is a place where diversity is celebrated, pluralism is a part of the Indian landscape, all of these things create a closeness in the relationship, also influenced in this country by the 3 million strong Indian American community that is making its mark as never before and having influence here in the United States in a very positive way. The examples of Indian American successes in business and academia, in the American spelling bee. Every year it seems like an Indian American young person is winning the national spelling bee. Across the board there is this growing linkages which I think are going to be even more apparent in the years to come.
I think you gave a very good example of Indian successes here. Like me, many of us tend to believe that our fundamentals are very strong growing up.
The fundamentals are strong. That's something you hear in New York on Wall Street. Are the fundamentals good? What are the fundamentals? Well, the fundamentals here are very strong.
So growing up culturally and socially, fundamentals are very strong for Indians. And when they come to a place like the US, it is but natural to have this success ratio in such huge numbers. But compared to, I'm definitely not undermining any other ethnicity here, but Indians tend to be, is it because you think the English language, or is it, do you think because the educational fundamentals are so strong, parents are willing to give up everything and anything for the kids to get better educated than themselves? What is it that you think makes Indians excel so much here?
I think that what is clear is that there is a, and it is passed from generation to generation, a desire to excel and to move forward as full citizens, make contributions to society, find their niche within the professional world, excel in their academic studies. I don't want to suggest that this is unique to the Indian experience here. We have seen so many groups come to this country. And I think just by coming here, and that's why I am a believer that the United States is stronger because of our allowing people from other countries to come here. We grow in strength because those who come here are already, if you will, entrepreneurial. They're risk takers. They're setting off to come to a new land for new opportunities. And those people are the ones that often excel even more than some of those who have been here for generations. I mean, it is something that has repeated itself in American immigration history. And I think that the more that we open up our country to those that are coming to seek opportunity, those who bring even more diversity and pluralism to our country, the more we demonstrate the fundamental truth of the American experiment, which is that we are open to all people that want to come to work, to be educated, to excel, and without discrimination and without prohibitions to their path to success. I think that one thing that I'm most proud in recent American history about was the election of President Obama as the first African American to be elected President of the United States. People around the world were, I think, quite amazed that that took place. And for me, it was just a reaffirmation of what makes the United States and America a shining light to the world. I wish we could show more of that part of who we are to the world.
That brings me to the next question, which is focused on the American society. If you go back to the 50s and 60s, the people who have really worked hard, the generation that gave so much to this nation. I think at that time, when we talk about fundamentals, I'm talking about the fundamentals of society, of a culture, were so strong that they felt that they owed it to the nation. And look at the current generation, and U.S. is no exception by any means, but since we are here, we talk about U.S. and its role as the supreme leader in the world is diminishing. I'm not talking politically, but also socially. The younger generation feels that everything is owed to them without any responsibility. And if this continues, then we are on the wrong trajectory. The role of U.S. anywhere in the world, people look up to in terms of catastrophes, in terms of wars, in terms of help anywhere, U.S. is first to reach and provide relief and support by all means. What is your advice to this generation?
Well, my advice is don't count this generation out. And I can only speak from the standpoint of my own experience. And that is, I have two daughters in their 20s, and one is working as an aide to a member of Congress on Capitol Hill, and the other is a recently graduated law student who has gone to work in the state's attorney's office as a prosecutor in the state of Maryland. And both of them are looking to public service careers because they want to be a part of contributing to society. And I think that they are joined by countless numbers of their own age group. And so I think that they'll make their mark. And I have great confidence in this generation. And I just hope that they will have the opportunities to do these things. You have a lot of graduates, because of our economic situation, graduating and not being able to find employment. A lot of them are going into a program called Teach for America. They're going off to work in cities and around the country where in areas that have been hard to get quality teachers attracted. They're going off to do that for 2 years. A lot of them are going to the Peace Corps. A lot of them are going into service-oriented things, and so I think that this generation will be just fine.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank you.
that.
I enjoyed it.